Good morning, everyone. This is Lori Delk-Radecki with the Nashville Networking Business Luncheon. So we do these several times a month, all over Middle Tennessee, in person, as well as right here live on Zoom every single Tuesday. So we always have a 10-minute speaker who talks to us about different tips, tricks, ideas, things that can help us both in our personal as well as our business life to help get us to that next level. After that, we go around the room. Everyone has 1 minute to give us your name, what you do for a living, and how we can better refer other people to you. After that, we have before and after that, we have open networking and get to know each other a little bit. Right here on Zoom, you can hit the chat and that opens up your sidebar so you can put your virtual business card. Of course, in person, we exchange them. And so we are going to go ahead and get started. So our speaker today is Mr. Terry Lancaster. Please give him your attention.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate you having me. Good morning, everyone. In case you don't know me, my name is Terry Lancaster. I am your friend in the car business. And today, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be talking about what to do when you don't know what to do next. But first, a little bit about me. Born and raised here in Nashville. So the people who don't know that, I'm a unicorn. I'm one of the only ones. I'm born and raised here in Nashville. I've survived cancer twice. I've had a gun held to my head. I've had a knife held to my throat. I've been aboard 2 planes that I was 100% sure were about to crash. I've been on a boat that sank, and I was on another boat that I got thrown out of and almost drowned. And so if you don't pay any attention to anything else I say for the next 10 minutes, I want you to go ahead and write this down because it could save your life. If you're ever going on a whitewater rafting trip, and before you get on the boat, they bring out the giant air pump to reinflate your boat because it needs a little air. Do not get on that boat, whatever you do. A couple of years ago, my wife and myself, my wife, and our 3 daughters, we took a family trip down the Ocoee River. And we're going to go down the Ocoee River. Beautiful fall day, crisp air. It was water was still warm, so it was perfect weather. And we get there. And before we get on, they bring out this giant air pump to reinflate our boat. They said it had some kind of small leak. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. So we get on the boat and we go down the river. And we'd been down the river before without any trouble. But this day, we had a particularly adventurous guide. When we'd gone down before, we had a young lady who was kind of looking for the easy route. The guy we were taking on this day was definitely not looking for the easy route down the river. He hit every swell, he hit every rock. His purpose was to make the biggest splash he could at every point we get. And I don't know if you've been on one of these whitewater rafting trips or not, but if you're the daddy, you got to go on the front of the boat. The daddy goes on the front of the boat. He's up there to help steer, and if you're the responsible adult, you're on point. You're riding the bull right there. So I'm riding the bull down the Ocoee River and trying to pedal when he says pedal, and paddle when he says paddle, and stick my oar in when he says stick my oar in. Trying to do exactly what he says. And we're about an hour into the trip, and we're coming up on what's called the Diamond Splitter. It's a class 4 rapid right in the middle of the Ocoee River, and it's about a 10-foot waterfall with a giant rock in the middle of the river. So there's waterfalls on every side. It's the Diamond Splitter, giant diamond-shaped rock. And we're coming up on it, and Mr. Honcho back here guiding the boat, he sees another opportunity to get us a little air. So we hit this little swell about 10 yards before we're about to go over the falls. And I'm on, and the boat goes straight up in the air. So I'm 20, 25 feet up in the air. And all of a sudden, the boat's not under me because there's no air pressure in the boat. That slow leak that we weren't supposed to be worrying about, well, it's still leaking. So when I go straight up in the air, the boat folds completely over and just disappears out from under me. I'm like, and I start falling backwards. And my wife, who was on the other side of the boat, starts trying to grab me. And I see her leaning forward. And I'm sure she's coming in after me, but she misses me, and boom, and out I go. And I'm gone, and there I am hurtling, with the cartoon music, hurtling toward the waterfalls, and all I can think of is, oh, I can't go over the falls, and I push myself and guide myself right into the rock, boom, So we had a plan. we had planned on going down the river and having us a nice family day, right? And we were going to have fun, and no one was going to be in the river. But the plan's only good till the first shot's fired. Like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. And so I got punched in the mouth and thrown out of that boat. And here I go. So I pushed myself over to the rock. And I think, oh, okay, phew, I saved myself. But as I'm sitting there against this rock with hundreds of thousands of gallons of water per second, pinning me against this rock, it literally takes every ounce of strength I can to maneuver it all. And I realize no one can get to me. I can't get to anywhere else. I'm going to be at this rock forever unless they fly a helicopter in to raft me down. And the only thing I can think to do is the next thing. I said, well, I didn't want to go over the waterfall, but I'm going to have to go over this waterfall. I'm going to have to. That's the only way I'm going to get out of here. And Stephen Covey, one of his 7 habits of highly effective people is you have to have a bias toward action. You don't always have to do the right thing, but you always have to do something, right? So I did something, and I still don't know it was the best decision, but it was the decision. And I pushed myself off that rock, and I went over the waterfall. Elbow over Tico, boom, boom, boom. And I tucked my chin in and just went. And I got to the bottom of the waterfall and go, man, that's awesome. I didn't break anything. I didn't hit my head on any rocks. Yay, Terry, I did the right thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting to pop back up to the top of the river so I can celebrate, being alive. And I'm down there and I'm not popping back up. I'm just sitting at the bottom of the river. And I go, well, this is weird. I'm wearing a life jacket. I should be popping back up to the top of the river. And I sit there and it dawns on me that I can't go back up to the top of the river because there's hundreds of thousands of gallons of water per second falling on top of my head. And I will never pop back up to the river until I move my butt. I have to get out from under the waterfall. And so I start pedaling backwards so I could get out from under there. And the only thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, what if that had been one of my daughters who fell into the river and panicked and got to the bottom of the waterfall and didn't have the presence of mind, the calmness to realize that they would never get back to the top of the river until they got out from under that waterfall. And so I did, but all I was worried about was my daughters. And every time I think about this, I think about that poster. There was an internet meme we used to see a couple of years ago. I saw this all the time. It just said, "Stay calm and carry on." Stay calm and carry on. And you don't have to do the right thing, but you got to do something. And we had Martin Luther King Jr. We celebrated his life last week. And one of his quotes is, you don't always have to see the entire staircase. You just have to take the first step. The first step. And so I had to get out from under that water and back out. So fortunately, I had a clear enough mind to back myself out from under the waterfall, and I popped back up. And that's when the fun started, because at that point, I went 200 yards down the river, elbow over tea kettle, gasping for breath, going under, popping back up, going under, popping back up, catching my breath. And finally I got pulled into another boat. And my one of my older daughters and I, we'd been joking down the river with this crazy guy was bouncing us into every rock. So I kept telling my daughter, all that coffee I had this morning on the trip down, I'm going to pee myself. He keeps hitting these rocks. So I finally get pulled back into a boat, and we go to a smooth spot in the river. And I transferred back over to our boat where he finally got my family back down to me 200 or 300, 400 yards down the river from where I got kicked out. And I leaned over and told my daughter, I don't have to pee anymore. So we've all been tossed out of the boat this last year. Everybody's been tossed out of the boat. I guarantee you, every one of you had a plan, and I guarantee you, none of you had a plan to live your life like we're living right now. But everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. You don't know what's coming on, and you don't know what to do You don't know what the world's going to look like. We don't know what the world's going to look like next week, next month, next year. We don't know how the plan's going to be. I'm not a huge believer in plans. I'm a huge believer on taking a step right now. And so if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what your life is going to look like next month, next week, next year, you don't know what your business is going to look like, you don't know everything, but you can't have perfect vision. But I guarantee you, if you sit down and ask yourself, you know what you need to do next. You know something you can do today, right now, as soon as we get off of here, you know what you can do to improve your life and your business. And the only way to do it is to do it. Thank you, Lori.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much, Terry. So if you are watching us online, this is the end of our recorded portion. So I encourage you to meet us on as well as in person every single Friday and the third Thursday of each month. You can see our different locations at Nashville Networking Business Luncheon.com. You can also join our email list there. And then also join our groups on Facebook as well as LinkedIn to meet and network with other people online. So we will talk to you soon and see you next week. Thanks so much, everyone.